Welcome back, everybody, to the Pickswise NFL Show. I'm your host, Rachael von Oranje, and this is week 6 of the NFL football season 2020. I think it's going to be a really good one, and the show's going to be a really good one because we have a very special guest with us today. But before we get into that, just want to say if you are watching us on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We greatly, greatly appreciate it, and thank you for sticking with us. Now, as I said before, I'm delighted to be joined by two very special guys and two very, very good, just football minds. I have my usual co-host from Hawaii, Jeff Reinebold, joins us, and we also have Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, 10-year-long veteran. He's coached. Now he does sports talk radio in Denver, Colorado. And you might remember seeing him when he blitzed Tom Brady. I think it was 2006 AFC Championship game and forced Tom Brady into throwing that huge interception. Champ Bailey went up and got it. And you know what, Nick, as somebody who is sadly an Atlanta Falcons fan, and I have been personally violated by Tom Brady in the past, I really, really, really appreciate you for that one, okay? Thank you so much. Nick, thank you for joining us. How are you? What's going on in your world?
Listen, I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. It's gorgeous here in Colorado. And let me start off by saying this. Much apologies for you being a Falcons fan because they're going to come up in the conversation today. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay. All right. I appreciate I'm used to it. It's been a running joke on the show. Everybody gives me hell about it. It's okay. I'm used to disappointment and sadness. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. It's so good to obviously be with you, Rachael, every week, but to have Nick in is really a pleasure. I had an opportunity to coach him on 3 separate occasions, and I live to tell the story. And we may even get into some old stories about Nick's days in the National Football League, because he is one of the truly unique guys that you'll ever meet, and like you said, a great football guy. So our fans are going to have an awesome time today with Nick and you and I.
Yeah, man, it just keeps getting better and better. Shouts out to the producers and the guys at Pickswise. You guys are loading the show up with some great guests, and I appreciate it. I know the viewers appreciate it. Thank you so much. Guys, before we start with Nick's Broncos, let's talk about week 5, and we want to touch on the Chiefs getting beat by the Raiders. And I just want to say I didn't call the Raiders winning this game, but I did pick them to cover on my own personal bets. And in fantasy football, I started Waller, I started Derek Carr, and I started Josh Jacobs. And that is because I saw a good game coming. Nick, did you see this coming? What did you see in this game? And what the hell went wrong for the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, in my pick'em league, I definitely didn't pick the Raiders because I thought Patrick Mahomes was going to do Patrick Mahomes types of things. But in this game, things changed around. And I'm going to go back to, I think it was a Thursday night or Monday night game when we saw Bill Belichick face off against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Bill does a great job of laying out the blueprint. And when you look at what the Raiders did, they followed that blueprint. So it was a combination of playing man coverage and zone coverage that kind of confused Patrick Mahomes, a guy who I might add said at one point he's still learning to read a defense. And when you look at what some of the issues that he ran into in that Raiders game, that tells you he couldn't go down the field as much as he wanted to Tyreek Hill, even though he did. But it wasn't as successful and consistent as we've seen in the past. And the Raiders did a great job of locating Travis Kelce and keeping him out of the mix. And for me, it started with Derek Carr. And I have to tell you, as a Broncos, a guy that played for the Broncos and covered them, I know a lot of Raiders fans who criticized Derek Carr, but man, that guy was special when he needed to be special. And Henry Ruggs III, we're talking about explosive plays. And Jeff can tell you from a guy who coached the game as well, it was about the number of explosive plays that Derek Carr was able to exploit in that Kansas City Chiefs defense. So if we're looking at Kansas City moving forward, it's not just about confusing Patrick Mahomes. It's about those explosive plays you could take advantage of in that Chiefs secondary.
Yeah, it's definitely my friend found the blueprint to beating the Chiefs. We'll see. Sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please tell me what you saw and what you think.
Well, I think Nick's right about the blueprint, but I think that when you go and you look at the tape, the things that the Raiders did extremely well. On defense, they made Mahomes move around and not be comfortable. And then in the back end, and this is really, really important, when he extends plays with his feet, when he gets out of the pocket, because of his arm, he has the ability to throw the ball all over the field. And they did and Nick will use this term, plaster the receivers in their area. And even if they were in zone, they turned into man as soon as he got out of the pocket. And so he wasn't able to make some of the throws that he normally makes. And they played from top down. They played vertically back to the line of scrimmage with their safeties. I thought their safety play was real good in this game. And then on the other side of the ball, Derek Carr handled the blitz extremely well. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator from Kansas City, he's going to blitz you. And when you look at Kansas City structurally, their safeties are not cover guys, whether you're talking about the Honey Badger or, it doesn't matter. You're talking about two guys that are not cover safeties. And they got put in coverage and got exposed. Honey Badger got hit on a big one. And then Daniel Sorensen, the other safety, drove on an under route and put his corner on an island. And, I think it was about a 70-yard touchdown on a post cut to Ruggs, and the corner expected inside help, and it wasn't there. So Kansas City made enough mistakes on defense, and the Raiders took advantage of them. And there's no unflawed team in the NFL. As good as Kansas City is, they are still still flawed.
Yeah, it was the battle of two really good secondaries, and being the genius that I am, I feel like I just saw that coming, so that's why I chose to play these. I just knew it was going to be a good game. Didn't know they were going to put up 40 on the Chiefs, but you know what? The Chiefs were not the only people that had a good week. Okay. Jeff, I hate to throw this in your face, but you were 2-6 last week in your picks. I, on the other hand,
why don't you say it just a little slower and a little more inflection so you could just twist that knife right in my back right there? Hey, I'm licking my wounds, girl. I'm telling you, because I wasn't bad. I was real bad last week.
It's okay. It happens.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's okay. It happens. You're human,
The game on.
Not sure who coaches here. Is it me or you? Because I went 4-6. Okay, I went 4-6.
I can't wait. Salty. Your turn maybe this week.
I gotta do it. Nick, can't wait to see how you do this week with your picks and see if you can beat me. Maybe not. So I had the Browns beating the Colts and the Chargers covering against the Saints. I also picked the over in that one. Won me some money. Hopefully, we're going to win our audience some money as well. Nick, I want to talk about your Broncos really quick. They're sitting at 1-3. They've had a lot of injuries. You know what I mean? That's not all just X's and O's. They've lost a lot of players. They did ruin my parlay, and they beat the Jets. We saw We saw Ricky Ripien come in and show some flashes of brilliance. Despite the high-profile injuries, there were a lot of really encouraging signs, I think, for that Broncos offense, including Melvin Gordon. But I digress. He seems to be in a little bit of trouble. As the audience may know, we record this show on Wednesdays, and some news came down this morning. Maybe you'll want to touch on that a little bit, Nick. But overall, were you encouraged with what you saw against the Jets? And do you think that this early bye week is going to be beneficial for the Broncos?
Well, first and foremost, going back to what I saw on Thursday night against the Jets, I was really impressed with what I saw from Brett Rippon. But for me, I was one of those guys when he came in to the Broncos organization that said, well, there's a lot of twos that he has coming in from Boise. But it just seemed as though everyone in the organization didn't see that because they wanted to kind of propel, Drew Lock to the forefront. So I can understand, the reasons for that. But to see Jerry Jeudy gets his first, touchdown of the year thrown to him by Brett Rippon, and also to see Melvin Gordon finally go for 100 yards for the first time this season was great. But like you said, there was some news that came down the pike earlier today where Melvin Gordon was pulled over last night for a DUI, and he was going 71 and a 55. So we have to see how the team is going to handle that. He was sent home from practice early today. Will he play on Sunday's game against the Patriots? We don't know. We just have to see how the team handles things internally. But this team has been really hampered by injuries, and the fact that they had to postpone the game. There were a lot of players who were upset because, hey, listen, I lost my bye week that was supposed to take place in week 8. Now I have to take it early because there's an issue with the Patriots player. So Coach Fangio definitely nipped that in the bud. He had some very spirited words that I cannot actually repeat that was sent directly to his players. But this is a team that is searching for a win. We're talking about a Broncos organization that hasn't been to the playoffs in 4 seasons. And there's a lot of pressure on John Elway to really get this team back to where they need to be. As far as the game on Sunday, I mean, I'm not holding out hope that the Broncos are going to actually win this game because now you get a healthy Cam Newton back and you might get Stephon Gilmore. So we have to see how it shakes out, but all signs are not trending towards the Broncos winning this game.
You know, all that about Ripien, and again, I agree with you. Ripien was in a tough situation when he came to the Broncos because they're always going. The guy they draft is Nick knows this as he 11 years in the National Football League after being an undrafted free agent. When you're an undrafted free agent, you have to prove every day that you can, and if you're drafted high, you have to prove you can't. And there's a big difference in those two things. Ripien will be an I think adequate NFL quarterback. I don't see him as a starter that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl per se, but I do think he can be better than a lot of people give him credit for. Now, you got to remember who he's going up against this week. Bill Belichick does not lose to rookie quarterbacks. And I mean, I'm talking about great rookie quarterbacks. He just doesn't lose to rookie quarterbacks. Cam Newton back, I think changes the entire complexion of the game. And you know, I think we've seen out of this New England team that they're resourceful. They'll do whatever it takes to win, whether it's going to be Sony Michel one week, it's going to be Rex Burkhead the next week, it's going to be Cam Newton one. I mean, they are good enough offensively to score points. I think Denver's a good football team on defense, and that's Fangio's specialty, but I'm not sold on their offense yet. Remember, this is against the Jets, Jets. Another one of Nick's ex teams, but the Jets are awful. Let's be honest. The Jets are horrible, and you know, yeah, they did score some points, and yes, Melvin Gordon did get 100 yards, but this ain't the Jets they're playing when they go to New England, and New England has had time to prepare. I think New England will win this game easily.
Okay, so yeah, that's where we were going to go. The Broncos, they're going into Foxborough on Sunday. As we stated earlier, Cam Newton, Stephon Gilmore, we believe that they're going to be back from the Rona. They were 8.5 point. The Broncos were 8.5 point underdogs in Foxborough, but I believe my producer just let me know that recently the line has moved to 10-point dogs. I don't know if that's because people are expecting Melvin Gordon to be missing, or Melvin Gordon missing. Basically, that does change a lot of things, you know. It's a really tough matchup. The Patriots defense is always going to be there. They're coming off of a loss to the Chiefs. I can't remember the last time Bill Belichick lost 2 games in a row. Nick, Jeff, I'll start with you, Nick. Do you think that the Broncos cover 10 points here, or do you think the Patriots just going to shut them out?
No, I'm with Jeff. I mean, when you think about Bill Belichick and the way that he coaches against rookie quarterbacks, this game is not going to be close. It's going to be close at the kickoff because both teams are 0-0, but the Patriots are definitely going to cover. I mean, there are too many issues that are taking place in this Broncos organization. The latest news with Melvin Gordon, it changes what they want to do at the running back position because we thought maybe with a healthy Phillip Lindsay, now you have Lindsay, Freeman, and Melvin Gordon to toss at that Patriots defense. Now you only have 2 guys. That's Lindsay, who's coming off a turf toe injury, and he's not 100%, and Royce Freeman. So everything is leaning towards the Patriots.
Well, I think you know, you got to look at the totality of the thing. Where is there an advantage for Denver? They're on the road, advantage New England. Offensive line versus defensive line, I say that's probably a toss, right? Their passing game against that New England secondary, huge advantage, New England. Go on the other side of the ball. Quarterback, you got Cam Newton and you got Brett Ripien. That's not disrespectful to Brett Ripien, but you're talking about Superman against not exactly Lois Lane, but at least Clark Kent, right? And then you go to the receivers, and even though the Patriots receivers aren't going to scare you to death, they're good enough. And Edelman will get his 6 or 7 catches as he always does. I just don't see any aspect of the game where you would give Denver the advantage. And certainly I agree with you, and it's a really important point, Rachel, that the Patriots don't lose 2 in a row. I mean, I will tell you that was not a very pleasant place to be last week. And they will come out, and with Cam coming back, that'll be more than enough juice for them to beat this Bronco team.
So, Jeff, just to be clear, you're taking the Patriots also to cover 10 points. Like they're going to blow them out.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. If it was 7.5, right, I would have said that's my lock of the week, right? Now, okay. 10 is a big spread, but I truly still think that the Patriots will do that.
Okay, so Nick has the Patriots definitely winning by 10 or more. So does Jeff. Yeah, I can't find a reason to disagree with you here. And, I live here in Houston, so I'm pretty familiar with the Houston Texans and, head coach of the Denver Broncos. I don't remember in the past ever the Texans or the Texans defense or the Texans secondary, that he used to coach, having any type of success against a Bill Belichick offense. So I definitely am going to agree with you guys there. Hey, everybody, let us know if you think we're crazy or not. Are the Patriots going to pull this one out in just a blowout game? Or are the Broncos capable of pulling the sneak attack on us all? Let us know in the comments below. All right, everybody, Sunday afternoon, 4:25 Eastern time, we have a quarterback matchup of the ages. We finally get to see Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Green Bay is going to Tampa, going down to the swamp to play the Bucs. Let's talk about the line. It's basically a pick 'em right now. Green Bay is favored by 2.5 points, and the point total is set at 54. Now, the Bucs, they were a little bit disappointing last week. They lost to the Bears, Thursday Night Football. Tom Brady, 253 yards and just 1 touchdown pass. I mean, that guy, I don't remember the last time I saw his jersey that dirty. The Packers, they're undefeated. They're coming off of a bye week. Aaron Rodgers is all in and playing at an MVP level right now. Some betting stats really quick. The over has landed in 5 of Green Bay's last 6 games. Okay, so Jeff, Nick. Well, Nick's not scared of Tom Brady. Okay, we already established that early on when I started off the whole show. This guy will blitz him head on and make him throw interceptions, and we love that here. This should be a great game between the 2 Hall of Famers. How do you see this one going, Jeff?
Well, you touched on a race. I mean, we talk about the blueprint all the time. What's the blueprint? You're going to have a blueprint against every quarterback. We talked about the Mahomes blueprint. Nick, in 2006, in the divisional round of the playoffs, was the guy really that forced Brady to make an errant throw, which allowed Denver to finish the game and win the game. So, Nick, when you guys were getting ready to play Tom, take us through what Wade talked to you guys about and how you were going to attack Brady.
Well, one thing that we knew that Brady was one of those statuesque quarterbacks. And what I mean is that he can't move. I mean, we think about it, in a 20-year career, over 1,000 yards. I give him kudos for that, but he can't really move around. So we knew that we can, if we could, put him in the box and force him to make some error throws, something that he doesn't ordinarily do. So that week of preparation, we worked on that blitz package. And usually I come down in the box, but they never blitz me. So it's kind of comical as I go back and I recall the incident. The guard and the tackle both looked at one another and they said 25 is not coming. So I'm standing there thinking, wait a minute, these guys are not going to block me at all. And I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. So both guys just parted like the Red Sea, and I just saw Tom Brady. So I sprinted towards him. He sees me at the last second, and he's trying to roll to his right side. Once again, this is a guy that's not that mobile, but he always is able to throw the ball on timing and rhythm and getting out of his hands. So I got to him so fast, he couldn't really set his feet and he couldn't square his shoulders. He released the ball at the high point anyway. It ends up in the hands of Champ Bailey. He races down the outside line. He's knocked out of bounds by Ben Watson. And I'll be remiss if I didn't tell you this. Now, you would think that we would celebrate that moment because that changed the momentum in that game. But no, that Monday morning, I didn't get praise from the coaching staff. No, they reprimanded me and they said, well, why didn't I block Ben Watson and allow him to knock Champ Bailey out of the bounds? And I was like, I never saw him. So, hey, go to YouTube, look up Champ Bailey 99-yard touchdown, and you tell me if you were in my shoes, if you would have saw Ben Watson. I bet everyone's going to say no. And if you say yes, you're lying to yourself.
Haters.
Haters.
Haters. They just hating. Jeff, would you get on to Nick about that, or would you just be happy that he sacked Tom Brady?
Listen, so I said I coached the guy 3 separate places, right? I've been in therapy ever since, right? So he used to drive me nuts. But I will say this. I never, ever got on Nick about his effort. I never got on Nick about his desire. I never got on Nick about his practice habits. I got on Nick a couple times about hitting guys late. I got a couple of those kind of issues. Never anything that had to do with his desire, commitment, or effort. But you know what? The point is that you got to get vertical pressure on Brady. And when Nick talks about dropping in the box, what he's saying is he comes down inside between the tackles. So he's down there low. And if you come off the edge, Brady is really good at shuffling up in the pocket and keeping his shoulders downfield and throwing the ball. But it's the vertical pressure, like the blitz he ran in that classic game, that forced the throw that Champ was able to pick. That's what Mike Pettin has got to do in this game. He's got to get Brady off his spot, make him uncomfortable, and he's got some, Zadarius Smith, they got some guys that are dynamic pass rushers, and Pettin's an out-of-the-box thinker. If they can win on first down, get Tampa into second and third and long, and then open up the box of tricks, then I think they'll have success. But if Brady's able to stand in the pocket and deliver, it may be a tough day, for that secondary of the Packers.
Yeah, guys, me and Sean Salisbury, when we used to do a radio show together, we used to always have this thing whenever people would be like, oh, every time Tom Brady lost a game one week, the next week, the media, the fans, everybody, oh, Tom Brady's through, right? He's done. It's over. Like, he needs to retire, hang it up. And Sean and I used to always say, I'm not betting against Tom Brady coming off of a loss. And it has served me right for a long time, and it has made me a lot of money. With that being said, there's a lot of injuries to the Buccaneers right now, okay? As we know, Mike Evans, I think he's coming back for this game, but we don't know for sure. I'm looking at the injury report right now. It's questionable for him. Leonard Fournette, doubtful. I think O.J. Howard's gone for the year, right? Gronk isn't the Gronk that he used to be. Chris Godwin, out. Okay, this would be hard for any quarterback to overcome, even the GOAT in Tom Brady. Guys, back to the spread. Green Bay is favored by 2.5. Does that happen, or do we get angry Tom Brady who just ain't going to lose this week?
No, I'm going to go with the Packers and the spread. Here's why. You just mentioned a bevy of injuries on the Bucs team. And what we saw against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Chicago earlier this week, it was the fact that Khalil Mack made just kind of Tristan Wirth, their top draft choice out of Iowa, just looked like he was on a JV squad. And one time he even sacked Tom Brady, and then he came with a hip toss on Tristan Wirth. And Jeff mentioned Zadarius Smith. That guy is relentless to the quarterback. And knowing that offensive line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers continued to struggle to protect Tom, and we saw Tom take his helmet off, start yelling at guys. We haven't really seen Tom do that thus far this season. So he's really frustrated. And because he cannot move, that's going to cause a lot of problems. And you don't have your weapons to throw to down the field, that's a recipe for disaster. So Packers win.
Yeah, I think Nick's right. And again, I'm really anxious to watch Mike Pettin take Zadarius Smith, put him down over Marpet, one of the guards, down inside where he can get right to Brady, vertically to Brady. I think the Packers secondary is better than a lot of people think. And we're also going to see a Devontae Adams sighting, I believe, in Green Bay this week. And when he gets, I mean, if you think about it, last week, Aaron Rodgers was ringing up huge numbers, backup players. I mean, with backup players. Now he gets his weapon back. He gets Devontae Adams, his one certifiable WR1. Now I think they're going to be really, really tough to stop. And I get it. The Bucs play great defense. The Bucs have pass rushers, but the Bucs also lost Vita Vea, and Vita Vea was a critical factor in keeping the quarterback from sliding up in the pocket. So I think Aaron Rodgers, who's only been sacked 3 times all year, will have a field day, and I think the Packers will win this game.
Yeah, guys, it's funny because on social media, right, I see Packer fans losing their damn minds whenever Devontae Adams was out, and I saw them freaking out that they were whenever they were gonna play the Falcons. They're like, who's Rodgers gonna throw the ball to? And I'm like, first of all, have you seen Atlanta's secondary? Second of all, have you not been watching your quarterback his entire career? He doesn't need the big name receivers. He makes receivers. He will put the ball in anyone's hands. So they just need to chill out in Green Bay. They freak out. But yeah, I guess I said that I'd never bet against Brady losing twice in a row, but I have to. You have to, right? You have to. Now, the point total, really quick, before you move on to the next game, point total, 54 points, right? Is that what I said? Yeah, 54 points. Is that too high or too low, Nick?
Oh, boy. I think that's a little too high. We know that the Packers are going to score points, but the fact of the Bucs being able to put up a bevy of points, that's something that's not going to happen. And once again, when you're a quarterback of any stature, you need your weapons around you. I mean, Jeff just mentioned Devontae Adams. If you ever watch this guy run his routes, it'd make you silly because, I mean, he's one of the better route running receivers in this league. For Aaron Rodgers to get him back, to me, I'm going to count that as 2 touchdowns right there.
I think, too, and it's interesting, Rachel, you're talking to a defensive player, right? And a guy who grew up mostly on the defensive side of the ball coaching. And these spreads today, like when Nick was playing, and it wasn't that long, it wasn't like it was back in the leather helmet days. I mean, you're talking about 10 years ago. The guy, if there was a 54-point spread, you'd have thought that the defense, had a bus crash on the way to the game or something, because there was no way in a National Football League game you were going to score 54 points. No way 2 teams would do that unless it was just one really bad team. But today, in this day and age in the National Football League, it's got when you look at that, Nick, what do you think about with all these 50, 54, 51, 53 points, over and unders?
Well, the first thing that stands out to me is just like it is terrible defense. Being a defensive-minded guy, to me, it's just like I got to bring my guys in. I got to chew them out. There's no way that we're giving up this many points. And I know the receivers are better. You got these hybrid tight ends, and quarterbacks are more mobile than they were before. But at some point, you have to stand tall as a defense and draw a line in the sand and say, listen, you're going to try to come across this line, and I'm going to punch you in the mouth, like literally. And I'm not really seeing that. So I spend a lot of my Sundays sitting in front of the television, very frustrated.
Throwing things at the TV.
Yes, like I'm Steve Spurrier or someone, right? Just using all these words that I've never used before. And my wife is like, hey, Nick, what's going on? Did something happen? Did you fall? I'm like, no, I'm watching a football game. So, yes.
And Nick, you're talking about the integrity of the defense and how at some point you got to stand tall. Well, when they do try to make tackles, I'm telling you, I never thought I'd be this guy. Like, I feel like I'm getting old right now because I'm having my get off my lawn moment. These like targeting calls and these roughing the passer calls are insane to me. Is a defensive player supposed to stop in midair, like hit pause? Because the quarterback just happens to get the ball out of his hand real quick. Like, the dude's in air, and they're still flagging this stuff. They love to flag people who want to tackle Tom Brady. So just to be clear, you are both taking the Packers to cover 2.5 points, and you both think 54 points is too high.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
agree. I think I would take the under. And let me just say about Nick, if Nick was playing today with the way, just like you said, Rach, with the way they officiate games today, Nick would be playing for free because he would get fined so much for late hits and illegal tackles. And I'm telling you, he'd be playing for UNICEF. He'd be taking donations.
Oh man, maybe we're all getting old. I don't know, but yeah. So we're all taking the Packers to cover under. They say under 54 points. I agree. Under. We're all gonna pick the under in the Packers. Man, that's crazy. Sorry, Brady. Guys, let us know what you're thinking. Is it Rodgers season or is it Brady season? Let us know in the comments below. All right, guys, it's time for the best part of the week here on this show. We're going to move on from the individual games, and we are going to build you guys, the audience, our Pickswise Parlay of the week. And that's where we are all going to choose a game that we really, really like, we really feel confident about. Could be money line, could be against the spread, could be an underdog, whatever we choose. But these three games are the ones that we want to help you build your parlay this week and make some money, okay? So I'll start us off really, really quickly. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions and Matt Stafford coming off of bye week. They're going to go into Jacksonville, and he is going to feast on that crappy Jacksonville secondary. The last time I remember watching the Lions play, it looks like, they beat the Cardinals, okay, which kind of stunned the world. And they seem to be putting it together there. And I picked them to get a wild card in the NFC. I think it's Matt Stafford's season. I think he's going to shock the world. They haven't won a bunch of games yet this year, but like I said, I think they're starting to come into it. I got the Lions covering 3.5 point favorites over the Jaguars. Nick, we'll go to you. What do you got for us this week?
Well, it is interesting, Rachel, that you took the awful secondary approach. So I'll stay right there. You got the Atlanta Falcons facing off against the Minnesota Vikings, and that look on your face sums it all up. I mean, Matt Ryan is not playing at, I guess, all-star status. They're banged up in that awful secondary, and I like Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, and the rookie Justin Jefferson against that secondary. Too bad, Matt Ryan. You're going to be crying this weekend.
I'm plugging his ears right now, so he's not listening. He's not hearing this, okay? The slander. Go on, I'm sorry.
He might not be hearing it, but you are absorbing all of this information because this is that type of year for the Falcons. They just got rid of Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn. So they're trying to figure things out, and this is an excellent opportunity to kick a team while they're down. And the Minnesota Vikings, they just lost a heartbreaker to Seattle Seahawks. Talk about finding a way to get back on the winning track. It's like the football gods have blessed the Minnesota Vikings and gifted them the Atlanta Falcons.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Just full disclosure, I hope that you're right because I don't want the Falcons to win another game this season. I am totally fine with that. Go Vikings. Jeff, what you got?
You're in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, aren't you?
You know what? To me, I am.
I like the Ravens in a money line over the Eagles. I think the Ravens defense got its swagger back last week. The Eagles are still really beat up. They did better last week, but they still found a way to lose the football game. The Ravens have a better roster. They're healthier. And I think Lamar Jackson and that running game will really make it tough on the Eagles. So I'm going to take the Ravens in a money line win over the Eagles.
Okay, Jeff, but you're not confident enough to cover that 7.5 point spread, are you? You won't put your name on that?
No, I don't because, really the one strength that the Eagles have is they're good up front on defense. But I don't know, again, they're a little bit like Sybil. They got a bunch of personalities on offense, and you never know which one's going to show up. So I try and stay away from teams like that. That's why I don't like betting the Jags, because the Jags, to me, can be all over the map. And that's the way I feel about these Eagles. I don't think that there's any way that they beat the Ravens.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's not going to happen. Sorry, Eagles Nation. All right, so just to round it up and summarize, Nick, you had the Vikings beating my Falcons. Money line for sure. Did you touch on whether or not 6.5 points they're favored by? Do you want to touch that?
Nah, I'm not going to touch the points. I just
Okay.
think that listen, it's skull.
Yep. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Skull. We don't want to get confusing. So Nick has the Falcons money line. Jeff has the Ravens money line. And if I could just throw on a side asterisk, a little caveat there, the Eagles secondary is. You would not think that if the front seven can generate pressure, isn't the secondary supposed to kind of feast off of that? And then you got big play Slay, but I digress. I think that that the Ravens cover that spread too, but this is Jeff's pick. Sorry, Jeff. Not trying to steal your shine. Jeff has the Ravens money line. Nick has the Vikings money line, and I have Detroit beating Jacksonville. Spread is 3.5 and money line, obviously. That is your Pickswise parlay of the week. All right, everybody, it's Underdog season here on the Pickswise NFL Show. It's time for our Underdog of the week, and that is where we will each give you an underdog. It could just be straight up, like there's an underdog that we feel really confident is going to win this game, or it could be against the spread, whatever we want it to be. But hopefully we can help you win some money with this. And I'm going to, oh, by the way, my producer's in my ear letting me know. By the way, Jeff, we went 3 of 3 with our underdogs last week, me, you, and Sean. Can we rejoice a little bit? Let's be happy about that.
Hey, you take it where you can get. Let's go 3 for 3 again. Make it 6 straight.
Yeah, Sean had the Browns. They were underdogs. You had the Giants, which Sean basically stuck out his name and career. He was convinced the Cowboys were just going to run away with that game.
Yeah. I mean, he's great. The guy got CTE. I think so. I really do.
And he said that you're smoking a little bit of too much of whatever's growing out there in Hawaii. I remember that. That was like the best. You said Sean had CTE and he needed to take his headphones off because it's squishing his brain a little bit. And he said you smoking a little bit too much of what's growing on out there in Hawaii. But I digress. And I had the Chargers covering. They were 8.5 point dogs. And yeah, made some money there. But hopefully we'll do it again for the audience. I'll start us off really quick. The Bengals are 8-point dogs to the Colts. And it ain't happening. It's Joey Burrow season. He's the truth. He's the future for that franchise. It's a crappy franchise, but he's going to bring them to greatness over time. 8 points is way too much. And just so everybody knows, they're not talking about this in the media, but the Bengals defense is starting to look like they might be getting it together a little bit. They held Lamar Jackson last week to a career low 3 yards rushing and the 3rd lowest completion percentage in his 27 starts of his professional career during the 20. Now, on offense, they only put up 3 points, but still, they held Lamar Jackson to 27 points. Okay, and Phillip Rivers, he ain't Lamar Jackson. Okay, he getting a little old in the tooth. In fact, they're starting to talk about benching his butt over there in Indianapolis. Okay, so Joey Burrow. They might not win this game. Don't bet money line, but the Bengals cover 8 points. They ain't going down like that. Nick, what you got?
Wow, that's a lot to digest right there, Rachel. I don't know if I can hit them with that same level of enthusiasm, but I'll tell you this. Here's a team that I've been keeping my eye on for the past couple of weeks, and I say that they would shock a lot of people, and shock they have, and that is the Baker Mayfield Cleveland Browns, who are set to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know this doesn't look like a favorable matchup, but here's why I'm leaning more towards the Cleveland Browns. Looking at what we've seen from a defensive standpoint and Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon anchoring that pass rush and what they've been able to do over the past couple of weeks, to me, they're going to be a headache for Ben Roethlisberger. And I know people are saying, what about Chase Claypool, who scored like these massive amount of fantasy points? I totally get it. But Baker Mayfield has guys of his own. You might have heard of this guy, OBJ. So it's going to be Claypool versus OBJ. And I love the fact that Baker Mayfield has more mobility in the pocket, and Stefanski has shown that he can have a lot of success getting him out on the perimeter. So I love everything about this game. This is the black and blue division. This is the game where people have their nose all bloodied up. You're all banged up, but I'm going to lean towards a team in Cleveland, and I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns.
I like it, Jeff.
Well, Rachel, you said you would never bet. You and Sean never bet against Tom Brady, right? And you did. You did today, right? Well, I'm gonna tell you, if I'm not on the show next week, right? That means I'm in rehab, and I'm in rehab because I had said I've made it a personal thing to never bet on the Cowboys. The Cowboys have broken my heart more times than should be, right? And so they got the Cardinals. I gotta believe that Andy Dalton will inject some balance into the offense in Dallas.
What?
Ezekiel Elliott's been a non-factor. Now, you got a chance to run the ball at this Cardinal defense, and you still got enough weapons outside. The Cardinals are not as good as people say they are. I really, truly believe everybody's talking about 4-4. Yeah, you could play with him. I'm just telling you.
Don't listen.
That's another one. You're going to get him all
Patrick
busted
Peterson.
up too.
I know, right?
I just might go into rehab because I'm going out on a limb here because what I tell you the first show, don't ever bet on the Cowboys. Well, I'm betting on the Cowboys. So, they got to come through for me one time, and maybe it's this time.
You're breaking your own rules?
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
Never say never.
Never say never. But Jeff did give the Pickswise NFL Show one of the best analogies of all time early on this season when he described the Dallas Cowboys. He said they'll break your heart every time because let me say this right. Because she's from a distance when she's far away and she smiles at you at the bar, she's really, really pretty and hot and you might want to go home with her. But then you get up close and it's time to seal the deal and she smiles and you see that she's toothless. That's what Jeff said the Dallas Cowboys are. And now you are putting your name on the Dallas Cowboys that you are sure the Giants, the Saquon-less Giants were going to defeat last year. Now you're putting your name on. What is happening? Maybe you got the CTE.
So you said pick an underdog. Well, I think they are the only. I'm looking at the thing and I'm saying this is a nasty week for picking dogs. So if I'm ever going to pick the Cowboys, this is the week. But if I'm not here next week, I'm in rehab. I'm in picking rehab because I'm breaking my own damn rule.
And just to be clear, Jeff, you're picking the Cowboys straight up money line, or are you saying they cover 2.5 points? Because that is a narrow margin.
It's so close. It's almost a pick 'em game. I'm gonna take them to win it and to cover.
Okay, Andy Dalton season the red rocket, the red rifle? What are we calling him these days? So everybody, guys that are watching us, I have two very, very smart men and very smart football minds, and they are putting their names behind the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys. I digress. 2020 is wild, man. 2020 is wild.
Who picked the Detroit Lions out of this crew? Huh?
I think that it's Matt Stafford's season. Okay, Matt Stafford. They're gonna make it the playoffs. I'm telling you. They're probably not gonna make the playoffs, but they're gonna make it.
Whoa, slow down now.
I know, and I just
play that back to me, please.
No, we're gonna leave that segment in the past. Okay, we're already done with that segment. Okay, it's Joey Burrow season. The Bengals are gonna cover 8. Nick, you had the Browns covering 3.5, 4 points, depending on the sports book you're looking at, and you think they're gonna win straight up, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, and Jeff has the Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott. Jeff has the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. All right, guys, that's our Pickswise Underdogs of the week. Let us know in the comments below. Please. I'm really excited to see what you guys think about our picks of the Underdogs this week. Nick, it has been fantastic having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. And let everybody know where they can find you right now.
You can find me on 104.3 The Fan every day from 7 to 10. And when we're not on 1043 The Fan. You can find us also on the Twitch app. Also look for me at Twitter, Instagram, Nick Ferguson _25.
I love it. I love it. Thanks again, Nick. We're off to this segment without you. We'll miss you. Have a great day.
See you, brother.
And I'm out.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes.
All right, that was a lot of fun having Nick Ferguson on the show. Now we're going to move on to the Browns. They're going to go into Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The 4-1 Browns, Jeff. That's right, 4-1, taking on the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to be a good game, I think. Now, the Steelers, they opened up as 4.5-point favorites. It is now moved to 3, and the over-under point total set at 51 points. The Steelers, they've started the season 4-0 for the first time since 1979. That's kind of weird. I would have thought it would have happened since then. But yes, 1979. And they beat the Eagles 38-29 and covered the spread last Sunday. Chase Claypool, he had a hell of a game. He had 110 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. Now the Browns, well, they were underdogs last week, and they beat the Colts 32-23. Baker Mayfield, he had a good game, 228 passing yards in just the first half alone. Now, Jeff, are you taking the Steelers or are you taking the Browns in this game?
I'm taking the Steelers, Rachel. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to take the Steelers. Number one, it's at home, all right? Number two, I think when you look at the strengths of the two teams, Big Ben has really been revitalized with that year off. He's in better shape. He's throwing the ball like he hasn't for probably 5 or 6 years. The emergence of Claypool certainly helps that receiving core. They're nicked up a little bit, I know, on the offensive line, and we may not see a full, Steeler offense, but I do believe that they've got enough weapons out there for Ben, and I just am not sold yet on Cleveland. Baker Mayfield threw 2 interceptions last week. He's going to face a much, much better secondary than he faced last week. Minkah Fitzpatrick and that crew, they are nasty in the back end. They've got great linebacker play. TJ Watt's one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League. Cam Hayward inside. I just think the Steelers are a really, really good football team. And then you top it off with the fact that Mike Tomlin has never lost to a Cleveland Brown team in his coaching career. 16-0 against the Browns.
Well, it's going to happen sometime, and I believe that it's going to happen this week. I'm going to go with Nick Ferguson, who picked them. I believe he picked them as the underdog. The Browns is the underdog of the week for him. I'm going to go with it because I watched the Eagles last week put up 29 points on that Steelers defense, and you have Carson Wentz with no offensive line, no protection, and he's throwing to dudes that used to quarterback in college, a bunch of receivers that nobody even really knows who they are. I was surprised to see that happen, and their defense kind of let me down in that respect. And I just think that the Browns are on a roll right now, and Baker Mayfield is playing well. And so I actually have the Browns winning this game. And really quick, the point total is at 51 points. That's too high or too low, Jeff?
I'd say it's right about what's going to be. If I was going to bet anything, I'd bet the under on that one.
Okay, you're taking the under. I'm going to take the over. I could easily see both teams scoring over 25 points. So for that reason, I'm going to take the over. Let us know what you think in the comments. Who's right, who's wrong, what you think? Baker Mayfield season or Ben Roethlisberger season? Let us know. All right, Jeff, Sunday night football, prime time. The Rams, they're going to head to San Francisco to play the 49ers. Now, the Rams, as it sits right now on Wednesday afternoon, they are 3.5-point favorites. The point total is set at 50.5 points. Now, the Rams, they're 3-1 following their 30-10 win over the Washington Football Club. I'll never get used to saying that. Aaron Donald, their defense, they caused Kyle Allen and Alex Smith all sorts of problems. It was still nice to see Alex Smith come back and get to play for a minute. If it was a good week for the Rams, then it was an awful week for the 49ers. They lost 47-13 against the Dolphins. They didn't just lose to the Dolphins. They got blown out 47-13. Jimmy G was benched. That is making a lot of money to sit on the bench. He was benched halfway through the game, and there's now a ton of questions about him. People think Matt Ryan's going to get traded to go be with Kyle Shanahan and so forth. Jeff, I'm surprised Vegas hasn't reacted more to the Rams playing so well and the 49ers sucking last week. Am I missing something here, or what do you see?
No, I think you're right, Rachel. The Rams are a very good football team. You talk about Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey in the secondary. They run the ball extremely well. They run the ball probably better than anybody right now in the National Football League, or more consistently than anybody in the league. Goff off play action is a real tough thing. Cooper Kupp, Woods, they've got good players. Higbee, the tight end. I think that the 49ers are really, it's not, I wouldn't say they're in disarray. They don't have any healthy players, particularly on defense. They're down to guys that shouldn't be playing, frankly. And when you look at that and factor in the fact that Jimmy G's got a bad ankle, Mostert's just coming back off his injury. They're still hurt at wide receiver. I'm surprised, really, like you, that the bookies didn't move that line even more. But because I really like the Rams in this game.
Yeah, it's really bizarre to see that Vegas didn't react more. But I'm assuming that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start again this game. I mean, they're paying him too much money not to, right? And there's questions now. People are questioning him and his confidence level and whatnot. I'm actually going to take the 49ers to pull an upset here. I just think it happens. I think they're going to run the ball. I think Shanahan and Jimmy G. I think that their pride's on the line here. I think this game means more to them than it does to the Rams, and they're at home. So I'm actually taking them to win. You're taking the Rams. Any idea on the 50.5-point total?
Well, yeah, I think they'll hit 50. I really do. I think this game will have 50. That's 25 apiece, and I think that both teams are capable of scoring points. It's interesting for the Rams, Rachel. The Rams need this game really badly because they've got to keep pace with Seattle. And for the Niners, the exact same thing. They can't fall even further behind. So this is a huge game out on the West Coast.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then, the Cardinals are there too. They're pretty good. They're no scrubs. So you're taking the over, correct?
I'm going to take the over on this.
All right, you're taking the over. I'm taking the over. Jeff's got the Rams. I got the Niners. We're both taking the over. Spend your money wisely. All right, Jeff. So pretty unique week once again. We have two games. We have a doubleheader this Monday night. The Chiefs at the Bills, and it was meant to be played Thursday night, but it got moved back because the Bills played last night. As you guys know, it's Wednesday right now, so last night, Tuesday, the Bills played. The line, the Chiefs are 4-point favorites. It was a little less than that, but the line has shifted since, Josh Allen, he didn't look so high. He didn't look like an MVP candidate that we thought he was going to be this year. He did not look like that last night. The point total for this game is set at 55. Now, Jeff, the Chiefs and the Bills, they're both coming off of a loss. What do you think we can expect here?
Well, I think both teams will bounce back and play better than they did last week. Certainly, Kansas City was not very good on defense, and the Bills were uncharacteristically bad. Undisciplined plays, tons of penalties, 2 interceptions by Allen. Cole Beasley was a complete non-factor in the first half, and they didn't get him involved until the second half. I think that this is a game the Chiefs will win, Rachel, because I think Chiefs are a better football team, and there's some matchup issues that the Bills are going to have. If Mike Milano doesn't play again at linebacker, they are going to have a really difficult time with Travis Kelce because Milano is the only guy who can match up with Kelce underneath. Tremaine Edwards, the other inside linebacker, is hurt. He has not played particularly well this year. He didn't play well at all last night. The Bills are having a hard time getting pass rush out of 4 guys. Jerry Hughes did not play well. Murphy isn't getting to the passer. So when you factor that in against Patrick Mahomes, and this will be a Chiefs team that is determined offensively to show that they can play better than they did last week. And Andy Reid, go back and look at his history. And this is like a bye week now because they've had a long preparation time. When Andy Reid has a bye week, they very rarely lose. So I think the Chiefs will win this game. Again, I would have liked to lock it in at 3, but I'd still take 4 for the Chiefs.
Okay, yeah, you have the Chiefs covering 4. It's bizarre. I actually think that the Bills are a team that is built very similarly to the Raiders, and we just saw what the Raiders did to the Chiefs. I'm with you on this. I believe that the Chiefs win this game, but I would not be afraid. I'm not saying to do this, but I would not be afraid to take the Bills to cover the 4 points and this be a really close, like a 3-point game, maybe a 2-point game. Jeff, really quick, what do you think about 55 points? Would you go over or under that?
Well, I think 55 is really, really reasonable because this is going to be a shootout game. Josh Allen's going to make some plays. Stephon Diggs is going to make some plays. And obviously that track team that Kansas City has is going to make some plays. If you look at that Bills secondary, it's nicked up a little bit. Josh Norman is not the Josh Norman of previous years. And Tre'Davious White, if he didn't play last night, if he's not able to play on Monday night, then it'll be a real track meet.
Yeah, so you're going to take the over. I'm going to take the under in this game. I still believe in both secondaries for both of these respective teams, and I think they're going to shock some people. And I think that the point total ends up somewhere around 49, 50. So Jeff's taking the Chiefs, covering 4. He's taking the over on 55 points, and I'm going to roll with the under. All right, and so the second matchup, the second part of this doubleheader on Monday, is the Cardinals taking on the Dakless Cowboys. It's it's not going to be the same cow. It's Andy Dalton is coming in now. First and foremost, everybody at Pickswise, and including myself, and I'm sure Jeff as well, we wish Dak all the best. A little perplexed about ESPN almost giving a eulogy. They kind of, ESPN seems to be acting like he died or something. Like, he's young, he's going to get the best medical treatment. I think Dak is going to get paid, and I think he's going to be all right. But best wishes there. Let me talk about the line really quick. Arizona, they are favored by 1.5. They were 3-point underdogs before Dak got injured, and now it has since moved. I guess Vegas doesn't believe in Andy Dalton. The point total is 54 points. The Cardinals, they got their season back on track. They have a 30-10 win over the Jets because the Jets game is where you get right. Kyler Murray, he had another rushing touchdown, running all over the place. Cowboys, they have Andy Dalton under center. They did overcome the Giants late with a 37-34 victory. Jeff, Andy Dalton is definitely not the worst backup a team could have. Okay, how do you see this game going?
Well, I think I turned to Hall of Famer Tony Dungy, what he said after Dak went down. And obviously everybody inside and outside of football hates to see a quarterback get injured, especially a quarterback like Dak, who's such a great person on top of it. But he believes, and I think this is the key thing, and this is why the Cowboys scare me all the time. The right thing to do now for Kellen Moore, who's the offensive coordinator at Dallas, is to put balance back into their offense. Start to feature Zeke again. That also helps that defense, which has to get off the field. And so if you look at Leighton Vander Esch, who might come back this week, will give some more physicalness to that defense. And if they can run the football, if they're willing to run the football. Now, that's not Kellen Moore's thing. He likes to have those great gaudy passing stats. But it's about winning. And if the Cowboys will play complementary football and run the ball, then they have a chance. Because Dalton, remember, the drive to win the game was Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton had to make those throws with no practice time. So with a week of practice time, he's a kid that played in Fort Worth at TCU right down the street. I think it's his time. And I think this will be the thing that catapults the Cowboys to the NFC East Championship, this win in Dallas.
Wow. So I just want to get this right really quickly. You think the Cowboys are going to get their second win of the season, and the first win that they got is basically because my stupid Falcons didn't know that they could jump on the ball. That is why they got that win. You think that now, without Dak Prescott, they're going to beat a very good Cardinals team?
I think they can, and I think they can if, now this is where it's interesting, if the coaches structure it so that they put it back on Zeke and take it off of Andy Dalton. Because Andy Dalton is a reliable veteran backup who's won a championship, he won a division championship, but he's not Dak Prescott. So don't expect him to be. Let him be more of a game manager, and your superstar is Ezekiel Elliott. Put the ball in his hands, let him win the game for you.
All right, so there you have it. Jeff has the Cowboys covering that 1.5. dog right there, and I guess he has them beating the Cardinals. I'm going to take the Cardinals to win this game. Kyler Murray and Cliff, you guys cannot lose this game. Like, you just can't. You cannot lose to Andy Dalton, a backup, and that terrible, terrible Cowboys defense with or without Leighton Vander Esch, who the Wolfman is very, very good, and getting him back is huge for the Cowboys. But I don't see it. I believe that the Cardinals win this game, and I think they win it handedly. Point total 54. Too high or too low, Jeff?
I think it's too high.
Okay. Too high?
Yeah, under guy.
Under guy, okay. You know what? The Cowboys, they don't have deep. They give up a lot of points. The Cardinals, you can run on them. But it is high. I'm also going to go with the under on 54 points. I just decided right now, right here. And before we go, Jeff, let's give our lock of the week. Do you have a lock of the week for the people?
Yeah, I got a lock, but it's a team that you don't usually put lock status around, and that's the Miami Dolphins, who last week pounded San Francisco, and now they get a chance to get the Jets. And you're exactly right, Rachel. The Jets are get-right week, so I think this is an easy win for the Dolphins.
Jeff, I'm surprised to say this. I hate this team with a passion, but I believe that the Panthers beat the Bears. They are favored by 2, at least as of right now. They are favored by 2 at home against the Bears. The Panthers secondary much better than I thought it would be. The defense is playing better than I thought it would. The offensive line is playing well. Teddy's playing well. I mean, they're doing so well in the wake of losing Christian McCaffrey. I can't believe it. But as you know, I don't believe in Nick Foles. I think the Panthers win this game. So there you have it. That is our lock of the week. All right, everybody. That wraps up the Pickswise NFL Show Week 6 preview. Jeff, it was a great show with Nick Ferguson. I loved every minute of it. Do you have any final parting words for the people?
I just say this, Rachel. If you're going to pick, Pickswise with Pickswise NFL.
Ooh, they need to give you a raise, my guy. Give you a raise. Everybody stay tuned, and be sure to check out next week, Week 7 of the Pickswise NFL Show. And don't forget to subscribe and like and share on YouTube and on Spotify. Jeff and Nick, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, best of luck with your bets. And remember, gamble responsibly.